Oh, hey guys, we're just going to go chase down some terrorists in the Badlands. I'm sure there won't be any dire galactic consequences that result here on Voyager, please. For at least one last time, a hateful voyage to the Delta Quadrant. My name is Joseph.
There I was, having a great time at Deep Space Nine. Now I'm fucking stuck with Voyager again. Boy, do I sympathize with these poor guys stuck out there in the Delta Quadrant. I'm your co-host, Peter.
Peter, we've circled this day in our calendar for a while when we dedicated ourselves to touching in on those episodes that take place at least in some way on Deep Space Nine, but aren't Deep Space Nine episodes. There are two. We did the TNG episode, and now we have arrived at the other entry, a special entry, an entry close and dear to our hearts because it was approximately 7.5 years ago when we reviewed it for the first time. So, Peter, tell me, what was that? What was this episode?
First off, there's 3 because you're not counting Lower Decks.
That's true, but we haven't gotten to that yet. So.
Sure. Well, before we get into what we're here for, I want to take a quick detour because it is Voyager and it is always hard to come to content to talk on air. So we have to deviate. And I don't have any shitty trading card trivia games for us to play or whatever other bits we used to.
You also don't have like a poop story this time around, which is...
No, I have a fucking gold story, man. Watching 2 TV shows right now. Real quick, I want to shout out. One, Peacemaker Season 2. Peacemaker Season 1, I think, was already the best comic book thing on TV.
Okay. Better than the Penguin?
I think, yeah, it's better than the Penguin. Have you not watched Peacemaker?
No, I watched the Penguin, but I have not watched Peacemaker.
Penguin was awesome and great, but Peacemaker hits in different ways. And, you know, I'm always keen on a comedy. Season 2's coming in just a shotgun fucking blasting out hits, man. And the second is Alien Earth, which...
Really?
I would have bet my right arm that thing was going to be crap coming out.
A lot of people who think it is. So you're an interesting voice to be saying it's good.
There's a lot of fucking morons out there, man. And I'm 3 or 4 episodes in at this point. But even if everything past episode 4 forward is just dog shit, episode 1 itself is worth a watch. And for a TV show on FX under the Disney administration, right? Because Fox is owned by Disney at this point. This thing has zero right to be anywhere near as good as it is.
Interesting.
And I fully encourage anybody out there that has a chance to just watch the first episode, if not, you know, get deeper into the series, to do it, because it is chef's kiss good.
Wow. I took I'm a FX appreciator.
Yes, you've got the Shogun.
Shogun last year was, or actually earlier this year, I guess, was incredible. Absolutely phenomenal. Way better than it had any reason to be. More authentic to the source material than I thought it would be. More culturally sort of resonant than I thought it would be. And produced on a smaller budget than I thought. Like, they got all the mileage out of it. And so I'm in the boat of like FX can really like produce prestige quality television at a bargain price. And the trailer was good. But some of the commentators I saw was like, this is ass, this is poorly written, this isn't worth your time, and so I have not looked at it. But if your recommendation means more to me than them.
Well, obviously, I'm the smartest person I know.
Yeah, obviously you're smart. Yeah, you're the smartest
I have
people I know. So, yeah,
I'm on a podcast.
You talk on the internet about Star Trek. Yeah. You must know things.
My face is on. I have an IMDb entry. I'm part of the business. And maybe it's because I went with absolutely zero expectation. And I can't even tell you why I actually watched that thing, because I was fully prepared to just completely disregard it the way that I have season 3 of Strange New Worlds. But
same.
I'm glued to this fucking thing. My wife's super bought in, and I don't know. I'd be interested if you watch a couple episodes and just see where we line up on some things. Because, well, I don't want to talk about it too much if you haven't watched it. I want you going.
Yeah, no, I'll give it an episode. If I will do that if you will do me one favor in exchange, provided it's available to you in a fashion you don't have to pay for it, because I wouldn't suggest that. Watch the first episode of The Day of the Jackal from Peacock. That's my secret. Like, this is a show no one fucking knew existed or was good that I can't believe no one talked about. And if you're in the mood for a spy thriller, assassination thriller, whatever you want to call it, it's fantastic.
I'll make the pitch to my wife to see if she wants to get on it. I mean, we're a little behind now because again, we've got Alien and a couple other things in the queue. The season of Sunny's not really doing it for me, and that's the sad part of my FX journey here. But I'm hoping they pull together the
show's been on for a million years. So like, you
it
run
has.
out of gas.
You know what? But they re-energized a couple seasons ago, and it's been great. But this one, I don't know, they got some more up to do. Anyways, let's get to the main event here. Let's go home to Voyager, Season 1, Episode 1, Caretaker, first aired January 16th, 1995, teleplay by Michael Piller and Jerry Taylor, story by Rick Berman, Michael Piller, and Jerry Taylor, directed by Rick Colby. It's amazing to sit here and talk about these names and know every single one of them to the degree that we do, because these are certainly the founding fathers of the Voyager show, house style, and really, what the next 7 years, well, I would say what the next 3 years of this show are going to look like until Pillar departs and the other elements step forward. But boy, do I have a lot of thoughts on this thing. And I know we were only supposed to watch part 1, but because of the creative way that I decided to watch this.
Yeah, it just kind of came together as a single movie episode, huh?
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I also listened to our podcast we did 7.5 years ago, our very first episodes.
Ouch.
Yeah, let me tell you, to all of you out there who listened to those first episodes and have stayed in, or listened to those episodes and decided the rest of the show was for you, and have stuck around through those first few bumpy stops on the train, thanks, because I'm not sure I could have done it. The audio was a little rough. Our patter wasn't down. I was talking too much and too fast. There were things that we got our act together, I think, pretty quick. Fourth episode, in my opinion, we've kind of got it. You've got better mic. I've learned how to edit better, and we're doing it. But it was a little challenging, I have to admit, to go back 7.5 years and listen to what the show used to listen to sound like. But my thanks to all of you out there. You know who you are.
The real ones.
The real ones. The real ones. But I will say, some of our takes, some of the very first things we talk about, still the things that I just draw your eyes directly to the material. Still the things that seem to be most relevant pieces of information to talk about. And you came right to the first one, which is the names on the script. These are the people who have the keys to the kingdom. And that kingdom at this moment is at its absolute peak. Well, close to its absolute peak. First Contact's probably the peak, but that's not too far into the future. We've got TNG, just completed 7 seasons, very well regarded, very successful. Deep Space Nine, still a syndicated show, still doing great business in the syndication market, selling like crazy, so it's getting to do what it's doing. But that success has come with an opportunity to take the next step for the franchise. Oh, I'm sorry, a movie, Generations, just came out. Box office success. Unqualified box office success.
And that's on the heels of Undiscovered Country.
Correct. Which itself was a huge revitalization for the franchise in cinemas after 5 was a bit of a rough go.
It was rough, but I mean, there's no hard losses on file.
None.
And we will come to see what a hard loss looks like with Enterprise.
I think you can see what a hard loss looks like just by the end of Voyager. I think we've made that case relatively clear. This is the opportunity for Star Trek to go back to network television. Because it used to be. It was a CBS evening show when it was started back in the 60s. And that's a big step up. That's more importance. That's more money that's going to be directly made by Paramount. They're not selling this to channels anymore. They're selling the ad space themselves as part of a programming block of the UPN. We went into this.
Which itself is a huge deal. And,
yes.
And UPN, you want to hear more about UPN than you ever wanted to in your life? We got 7 seasons of saying UPN, Nowhere Man, Homeboys in Outer Space.
Oh, yeah, all of it. Moesha,
Mhm.
all of it. And Voyager was crafted by Rick Berman, Pillar, and Jerry Taylor to be the product that would be the key show for the UPN, the lead key show. It's not just going to be on network television. It's going to be the biggest fucking deal on the network. It's going to get the most money and the most attention. And they didn't create TNG, these three names, but they all were intimately involved with its success. Okay. And they're trying to reapply that formula to a network television programming brand, right? We've had this thing, it turned into something much bigger and much more cultural. And now we've got to find a way to maintain and control that magic and put it into this new profitable way of doing business to get more eyes and to grow. As we know, unfortunately, the story of Voyager is actually the slow and then quick decline of the IP over the course of 7 years, to the point where once Voyager is over, the cinematic capacity for Star Trek is essentially expired. It's over, and its television viability is not long for the world. But in this moment, that's in the far future. That's in the unknown far future, and they put so much money into this, astonishing levels of money given what we've just been watching with Deep Space Nine. It's a good show. It's a well acted show. There's great sets, but it's pretty cheap, right? It's pretty inexpensive. It has that TNG thrift to it. We're going to reuse our sets a lot. We're going to do a lot of things that we would call bottle episodes. We're going to create a
SFX Light.
FX Lite where you can. It's a syndicated television show. You're producing a packaged product to be purchased by channels so that they can put it on the air whenever it is that they choose to do so, and then sell their ad packages around it.
Which is crazy because Deep Space Nine is running this meta plot where the last episode depends, on the episode before it and before it and before it. Whereas this UPN thing, every episode's a bottle episode. Every episode, You could watch Voyager completely out of order and not really be missing out on much, minus where space bar you come from and why are the Borg so heavily involved. We went in when we started this podcast with Caretaker 1. I haven't re-listened to it in a while because I can't take that fucking Logitech gaming headset mic.
It's bad.
It's real bad. Thank you to my oldest daughter, Isla, for breaking that fucking thing and forcing me to get a better mic.
And also a shout out to Isla for being your very first fun story you ever shared on the air.
Yes.
Go listen if you want to hear about it.
But we went in as, hey, this is great. I haven't watched Star Trek in real capacity in years, and parenthood's got me locked down. I'm looking for a social outlet. I'm just happy to be talking to my friends about Star Trek, which was really a passion that had been on the back burner for me for decades. I got into college and all that Star Trek nerd shit went away, and doing this with you reopened the doors in such a big way. And we've had tons of fun with Star Trek and science fiction in general. So there's this novel fun to all of that came with doing that first episode.
Yeah.
Okay. I went in completely cold, and my nerdy cockles were dry and crusty, but now they're well lubricated and stretched out.
Yeah, we've been in weekly practice for damn near a decade.
Okay.
On this.
I'm ready to go into this episode like a fucking Dilophosaurus with the neck frills like going crazy and spit acid.
We're both wearing a
Jurassic Park shirt. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the level of fucking basement nerd as I sit here as a nerd in my basement talking about Star Trek. I'm going into this having just watched all of Voyager and Enterprise and getting into the great part of Enterprise, which was season 3, season 4. And then going into Deep Space Nine, where season 1 was pretty good, and season 2 and 3 have been fucking great. And some of the best Star Trek out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're running full speed in a field, and now my foot has fallen into a fucking gopher hole. Okay. And I'm not going to forgive it. we're running through a parking lot and I just kicked a fucking like one of those concrete things so you can't go over into the next lane.
Yeah.
I think I broke all my toes. It is so blatant to me what the math is going on here.
Yeah.
Voyager has become this fool's errand decoy that has pulled all of the incompetence out of the executive office away from Deep Space Nine so they can swarm this turgid piece of shit and let new blood wash into the halls of the promenade. Ira Stephen Bear,
Ron Moore,
Hewitt Wolf, and let these guys do absolute fire in the background while these guys and these gobs of money just sit there and build a castle out of shit. And
I would not be quite as florid in my language, but I think you're spot on, right? Like this is not what anyone I think would have intended, but it is what happened. All of the money and all the attention was on this program, so all of the high-ranking executive figures within the Trek franchise were on this thing. It was going to pay them better. It was going to get more attention. This was a bigger fucking deal to be doing than the B Team shit, which is what Deep Space Nine ultimately was becoming, right? Because that was the old model, and it's a dying model too. Like Deep Space Nine might be the last great syndicated program. It might be the greatest syndicated program ever, to be honest. But not long after Deep Space Nine wraps, the syndication model for major studio production essentially comes to an end as it relates to what it used to be. And this is what we need to do in the future. We're creating network television programs and getting network television dollars. And the accidental thing that happens is that it clears the decks, like you said. Who started Deep Space Nine and when its seasons weren't as good? Why, it was Michael Piller, who has moved on. And he has brought all of the garbage along with him that would have otherwise possibly prevented Deep Space Nine from reaching its incredible heights that it ultimately does.
The heights that it's currently at. I don't know how much better it's going to get. Obviously, I mean, you've told me it's great, but I'm telling you right now, the Deep Space Nine that we're watching, which for anybody who's listening to this, out of order or whatever, the last one was Past
Future Tense Part 2.
Future
Tense? Yeah. We're halfway through the third season.
Not great science fiction on that one specifically, but that was a great example of just good TV that held up. A good morality story. And then you jump back before that and you're in great science fiction with great morality stories. So,
and there's fans who would tell you, by the way, that Deep Space Nine hasn't become good yet, that it doesn't become good for like until the end of that season.
And that's entirely possible. But I'm telling you, after going through all of Voyager and all of Enterprise, what I'm watching right now is objectively good. And watching that again, right up against Alien Earth and Peacemaker, which, again, are great TV shows that I'm really enjoying. But then I jump back 20 years to watching Deep Space Nine. I'm like, man, fuck, I'm looking forward to these episodes. I'm having a great time. This is good Star Trek. And it's all because we talked about, I think starting with Enterprise is really where we crack the code. And it's good Trek thrives in a room with people and no limited special effects budget.
Yeah. And limited resources breeds innovation and good storytelling because you make actors act and writers write.
And if Voyager sucked up all the budget for special effects and fancy sets and everything else, and it made things anemic over in Deep Space Nine only thrived to its benefit and our enjoyment as a result of it. So Voyager has a very special place in my heart, and I know it gets much better than this. But to see this come in as the beginning and just the problems that are on deck up front that absolutely should have been caught.
Yeah.
And jumping to the end, which I don't know, are we going to talk about this thing as a whole, or do you want to split this into 2 episodes?
Well, I think because we've reviewed it before, I would prefer to talk about it, not like beat for beat, but just touch on the stuff that we've got the best perspective on. And to your point, here are some things that as I rewatched this actually with a few people in Discord just by chance, because I listened to our podcast over the week, but I hadn't actually watched the actual episode. And so I watched it last night. There was a couple guys in there that had not seen it, and they had some interesting perspective. And at one point I paused the episode and said something that blew their minds. So early on, when we're introduced to Tom Paris, who's basically like the male lead of the
Absolutely. As
premiere.
presented in this thing,
Yeah.
100%. He might
He's the
even
male
be,
lead.
yeah, he might even be just the lead, period. He is portrayed to the audience, I think, in a more heroic and better light than Janeway.
He is portrayed as a character seeking redemption, with a heroic element to him, with a shady backstory. He's given as much screen time as your purported lead, the captain. And I will maintain it with the strictest sincerity that it's insane to me that they chose not to put Tom and Catherine in some sort of romantic entanglement because they read as very interested in each other in the premiere. I know that this is not pursued
Sure.
in any way after this,
Mhm.
but there's a couple spots where like they're looking each other up and down. They're getting kind of a vibe off of each other. He's her old boss's son. They're only about 10 years apart in age, so it's not super weird. Like Kathy's confirmed for being in a relationship and having a romantic element to her. Tom's a bad boy. Like this could work, and it looks like they want to do it.
Somebody in that writing room knew that stepmother porn was going to be a big seller on that video. And
yes.
he couldn't convince everybody else to like get on board with it. But he's like, I'm telling you guys, the stepmom stuff, it's going to
be big. Yeah.
It's going to be huge. To that end, I want to finish that thought real quick because you're striking gold. Just as much as Tom and Janeway feel like they're being set up, you have the right pairing opposite them, which absolutely should have been B'Elanna with Harry Kim.
Absolutely. That was a round agreement amongst everyone I watched. Like, how the fuck are those two not the couple? They seem perfect.
Harry Kim is exactly as insufferable and miserable and a little bitch in episode 1 as he is at the end of season 7.
Yes.
And I think that he would have been easier to deal with if he was B'Elanna's bitch and she, like, their plot thread would have been like, I need to chill out on my Klingon part, and also I'm going to make a man out of you.
Yes.
And that would have
he's
been
like, there's something I'm getting out of this relationship that's more than me. I'm merely attracted to you. It's that I am learning to find the aggressive part of myself because I've been too passive and too trying to be the perfect officer. I need some dirt under my fingernails, and I need to learn, as you said, to be a man. And that dynamic is there and possible. And because they're supposed to be both the younger people on the ship, especially there in that first episode,
and hyper competent and smart.
Yeah.
And also, like,
I'm the bad girl who couldn't finish school, but I'm secretly brilliant. You're the good boy who's brilliant, but we're like married to the rules, and the spicy Latina is going to kind of spoil the perfect Asian mama's boy. It's like, there it is. Just fucking run with this, guys. You have it right here.
My problem is my Klingon side makes me too much of a bitch. And your problem is you're too much of a bitch. We are both bitches, but we're on the opposite spectrums of bitch, where it's like, I'm mean and hard and you're a sissy. And somewhere we will come to the center of bitch, and we will be ultimate bitch. We will be maximum.
You're going to be thinking a lot less about your mother, and you're going to be calling me mommy. That's what's up.
We will be our penultimate episode will be called A Balance of Bitch.
So yeah, like Tom and Catherine, that's right there.
Uh-huh.
B'Elanna and Harry, that's right there. And it's in the premiere, and it's perfect. And what I paused and I blew everyone's mind of the people who hadn't seen it. I said was when they're in the mess hall. And Tom's talking to Harry after Dr. Rogan Dinar and
Dr. Dinar.
Yeah, and first officer gets killed. Are like had the conversation with Harry and told him about Tom. And he goes through the, this accident happened, it was pilot error, and then, I lied, and then I came clean, and I got cashiered. And I paused and I said, can you believe that over the next 7 seasons, this is the only fucking conversation that ever takes place about Tom's backstory? Ever? There's not one conversation. There is not one fucking episode that ever explores any of this seemingly extremely suspect shit he is talking about. All of these glares that Dr. Rogan Dinar gives him, all of this unspoken weirdness about whatever the fuck happened. Why did he go to the Maquis after that? Not one scene, one line one conversation takes place in this show about this man's backstory. Everybody else gets backstory. Chakotay meets his gods. Like we meet Catherine's great great grandmother. B'Elanna has multiple episodes about her trauma being
Alana goes to Klingon hell.
Hell. And also relives her bad camping trip with her dad. We get all of Cass's backstory. We get tons of Neelix's backstory. We meet J. Robert Diamondheimer of his backstory. Harry Kim goes back to, he confronts his possible parallel, timeline. We find out all about Tuvok's family. We go back in time when he was on the Excelsior. Everyone. Oh, of course, 7 of 9 and her parents, including Ugg from Salute Your Shorts. Mm-hmm. Everyone gets backstory, except for some reason, Tom Paris, the guy with the most potentially interesting backstory, and it's never touched on fucking one time.
Like,
stunning.
Give me a nightmare he wakes up from. And just, oh man, I just had a nightmare that I had to watch those guys die.
Who did he cover for? Why did he lie to begin with? Starfleet is a very accepting organization for failure. Like, what happened that he felt he had to lie and then came clean? What is his relationship with his father that it caused all of this?
He's so confident, too, in this terrible shit that he did that he never has any degree of self-doubt or remorse or questions his actions. It's just, he has a certainty about what happened with like, yeah, that happened and I'm fine with it. Like me saying, I ate a hamburger last night at like 12:30, and I probably shouldn't have done that because, like, that's going to go straight to my sides. But oh well, it happened. I'm done with it. I will never think about it again. Like, absolutely, and that's something we never really called out when we went through Voyager. But like, this dude absolutely has the juiciest fucking backstory. Nothing is done with it, and I can only assume it's because they don't want to muddy with Nick Locarno, and they're trying to ignore that. But that's
not a good excuse because they have all the more reason to do it because of the Nick Locarno
but thing. They don't, and I feel like that's. Listen, anything that portrays these people in less than stellar lights is anathema. And that's why the whole Maquis subplot gets fucking tossed.
Yeah.
It's all bad writing. There is bad writing rife through this fucking thing. And I'm going to go back to everything else that we fucking nailed, is that Michael Piller, Jerry Taylor, Rick Berman specifically, these are people that are positioned within this organization that have lost the ability for the people around them to say, no, this is stupid. No, that doesn't make sense. There's no critical reception, and they are surrounded by yes men and dummies and corporate goons who do not understand the subject material. They don't understand what a good story is.
Network goons. That's the other thing, too.
All these yes men have come with these people away from Deep Space Nine, and I can only assume that the Deep Space Nine writer's room is now a concrete pit full of starved pit bulls that raw meat is being thrown into, and they are fighting each other, ripping each other's throats out. And that, I don't know. I can only assume it's just a game of, I'm going to go to work today and I'm going to bust this guy's balls and I'm going to split as many fucking hairs as I can. And the Wikipedia doesn't exist back then, but I'm going to bring all of my books, and it's every day is just going to be slamming Ron Moore against the wall and saying, no, actually in season 2, episode 4 of Next Gen, this thing you're trying to do is explicitly said not to, because they have perfect continuity in Deep Space Nine. We sit there and I try to punch holes in these scripts, and the thing we keep coming back to is great spackle, great throwaway line. I want to criticize this, but I can't because they did this little tiny thing to cover their base. And all of that is so absent in Caretaker 1 and Caretaker 2 that we're not talking about little stumbling holes. We're talking about fucking plot holes that you can fly the Death Star through in this thing. You can put the Enterprise through sideways so like the saucer is fully flat and pass through. And for these things to come out through on your season, your series premiere episode,
the most watched episode of Star Trek ever.
It is awful. And if I was there in January 16th of 1995, invested in this stuff, and again, at this point, I'm in high school, or I've just entered high school, pretty much. So I graduated 2000, so I might have actually still been in junior. I watched none of this. Next Gen ended, and I checked the fuck out on Star Trek, and good because it's given us the ability to do this, but. If I had gone from the excellence, the thoroughbred excellence of Deep Space Nine into this, I'd say, what the fuck? Like, we're going to get into the ending sequence on this, and it is unforgivable how bad all of everybody's rationale is. Janeway seems like a lunatic in this for what she does. The Caretaker's a fucking moron.
The Caretaker at least can be a fucking moron because he's life from another galaxy that we don't understand well. So whatever, he can make decisions that are stupid because we're not understanding his alien thought processes. So whatever.
I'm not
like
willing
that,
to give him that, man.
dipshit aliens is something that we deal with in Star Trek all the time. It is far from the worst sin. But let's talk about it now. Why not? Because we're here. The decision that frames this entire series is that Catherine Janeway, after everything she experiences up to the point where this occurs in the last 20 minutes of the episode, makes the decision that her only option is to willingly and knowingly destroy the Caretaker array and strand herself in the Delta Quadrant with a damaged ship, a partial crew, and a bunch of backfill from terrorists that she was sent to go find. And that decision is so poorly executed within the episode that someone I was watching it with who didn't know that that's what happened could not believe that that was what was occurring in front of him. It was amazing to watch someone come to that revelation to it live of like, what the fuck do you mean that this is how it happens? He had always presumed, he thought I was joking when I said Janeway stranded the crew. He's like, no, isn't like something going to happen and something's, it's going to, their optionality is going to be taken away from them and they're stranded. Like, is that ship going to crash in and it's going to destroy the array and they all have to flee, or the Caretaker is going to self-destruct it, or is something going to happen where it's like a tragedy that they have to prevent? Like, oh my God, all the Ocampan will die if we don't blow this up. We have to do something. Like, there's a critical decision to be made where lives are on the line right here, right now. No. In fact, we're specifically going to take that away. And we're going to say, Catherine Janeway has to make the explicit choice to strand everybody, and there will be no consideration paid whatsoever to, hey, maybe we just like take those tricobalt devices and turn them into bombs and like beam them on there and like set them to detonate like an hour after we leave, or just like something like that. Like, you didn't do any spackle to make this decision make sense at all.
This is the series premiere where you are learning about the crew and you are learning about the Delta Quadrant and you are learning about the in-character situation surrounding the story. And this is also the series premiere where you are learning about the out-of-character decision-making process and the framework that Voyager is going to be built on. And that is two things. We used to think it was one, which is squandered potential, and that's absolutely there. And two is the ramrod.
Yeah.
And we've
two
gone
things
from
we
next
spend
generation
years talking about for a reason. Absolutely.
Of excellent storytelling and covering your bases and taking a hyper competent crew and putting them up against impossible odds, and these guys finding a way to overcome things through cooperation and science and a little bit of good luck and saving the day. And then you're going into Deep Space Nine, where every fucking base is covered. You're telling a story, and it is a not paint by number, but it's a connect the dots, and each dot is roughly a millimeter from the last one. So it is a smooth curve with minimal sharp edges to cut yourself on with bad plot. And then you get into this thing where they discover this new technology called ramrodding. And they go, well, I'm sitting around my mansion, looking down at my swimming pool full of alligators
that I may or may not have sex with later. Yes,
Rick Berman and his well-known crocodile fetish. And I've got, it's Berman, maybe Bran Braga's there hanging out. Or, what if we told a story about a Starfleet crew stuck far away from Starfleet and whether or not they can stick to their morals? And hey, what if we make half the crew filthy? That's a great idea.
Yeah.
On paper, this is a fucking banger, right? On paper, Absolutely. This is such a good story that Ramamort takes the skeleton from it and goes and makes his own version of the story that fucks for the first couple seasons.
He does. He literally is like, you know what? This Lost in Space, but the thing, this was done in the 70s. This other IP that I could just basically harvest for $0 and put on Sci-Fi Channel. Let's go.
Well, how are we going to get there? An alien's going to whisk him over there. Okay, cool. Well, how do they get stuck there? I don't know. They got to blow the thing up. Whatever. We don't have to explain it too in depth, the audience is going to understand what we want to do, and they're going to be cool because they want this thing. We're going to assume that the audience is going to give us a leeway and a hall pass to be sloppy. And there's going to be no one around to call us on the fact this is sloppy. We're going to ramrod this thing into existence. And we are not, unlike Deep Space Nine, we are not going to show the respect to the audience to do this in a way that makes sense, that covers the bases, and makes us airtight. So instead, we're just going to make it happen and keep going and never look back. Because all of the flaws in this, like, and again, I really want to crucify the caretaker here in a little bit, but the real villain in this is Janeway, for all the reasons we spent 7 years harping on before. She's a new captain, right? These are
relatively new. She's been a commanding officer for another ship in her backstory, but this is her first big deal command.
That makes it even more unforgivable. I mean, she's someone who is put together. She's not crying. She's not overly emotional, but we can all make a bad decision at work, right?
Oh yeah.
Even the best of us. Even Picard makes bad decisions at work.
Sure.
I'm willing to take all this shit at face value if there would have been some sort of emotional baggage that was persistent. You know,
one episode in season 5 is not enough. You know, traveling through the darkness from Janeway having to deal with the fact that she has subjected all of these people to hell.
And there's no remorse in it, though. She looks and goes, oh, this is too bad this has happened. But she never says this is my fault and I fucked these people. She never apologizes to anybody. There's no... You're paying for this on the front end with her bad decision, and there's never a payoff on the back end where this is like persistent good personal content, right? There could have been a dozen episodes where this doubt's lingering and people are like walking her back, and then finally a big breaking even point where the crew formally forgives her, or something where we can say, God, thank God this happened. Like, it sucked at the time, but like everything... We're copacetic now. We're even. Like,
we've done good in this place.
We've done so much good in this place that it's all been worth it, and nobody bears this resentment. And Catherine, you can forgive yourself. This was fate. This was meant to be. None of it. She just ignores every option on the table.
Well, they like, especially like embracing we are committing ourselves to a kind of exploratory journey that is Starfleet legend. That at some point it sets into like, we're going to make it home, and when we do, we are going to be. You know, we're going to return with like explorers into the deepest jungle that came out and be able to say things and be able to really fulfill we found new life and new civilizations. We've lived up to the ideal of what we're supposed to be in a way we never anticipated. That could have all been there. And but instead there's no drama.
That would have meant her having to look back and say, I was stupid.
Yeah.
I made a mistake. I was bad. I did something wrong. And because she can't say that to herself, it makes you as the audience look at her and condemn her all the harder. And it sucks because Janeway should be a really great character. And at times she's an amazing character, but the fucking writer's room and the executive production staff has saddled her with this miserable baggage that makes her easily the worst. Well, of the classic Trek, I'd say easily the worst captain.
Yeah. She is worse than Archer on balance just because her decisions are so catastrophic. Which is a shame. Like Kate Mulgrew's actually a great actress.
Yeah, and this is not Kate Mulgrew's fault.
It's not her fault. Like, she delivers really well on the performances that she's asked to deliver. I mean, this episode, this premiere has something we talk about a lot, which is when she's doing soap opera stuff, when she's doing Ryan's Hope, she like shines a little bit brighter than when she's being asked to be stern authoritarian military leader, because it's just not where she has been operating from. But she gets better, right? Like, she grows into the role and she finds a way to portray Catherine Janeway absent the bad writing. When the writing is good, she feels like she is both captain and mother of this crew in a way that's like, I get it, and that works, right? Like, but it's too inconsistent.
I did like the foreshadowing. Right after they get stuck over there and things are bad, Tuvok comes in to like console her, and she's like lamenting the loss of Roga Dinar and executive officer old guy, and Beta Z Helm hottie, also Vulcan nurse hottie, and she's like,
rips all around, man. I forgot how bad the IED was in sickbay. where it just
I
like
know, and they call it out.
Dr. Rogan Denar's back completely out. He had no spine. He was fucking dusted, man.
What is in this LCD monitor that it took a man's back off? I've never seen a back blown off before. We need to listen. I read a report that Deep Space Nine actually had poison gas canisters hidden everywhere. You don't think they've got bombs hidden all over the place? Like, is that what the Maquis game is? That now they're like booby trapping ships? It was a good crew. They didn't deserve this. There's, I never some bullshit about Harry Kim's mom's clarinet or whatever, right?
Yeah, the clarinet. His mom's called and said, "Can I send his clarinet?" And she's lamenting, like, "I don't know these people.
I don't, and I should know them." And like, I thought that was really good foreshadowing. Like, I have been this detached captain, and like, I guess that's part of her character hero journey is like she has to learn to be again a mother and a friend, and not just the boss. And this is going to be 7 years of her going on that journey, which I think she does amazingly.
Yeah, one of the better episodes of the show is when she like gathers up the 3 lost souls of the ship that have always like managed to never be on an away team and have kind of been slipped through the cracks, and of like, you 3 represent me fully embracing my role of not just being your captain, but I have to shepherd you.
That smarmy fuck, the smarty pants, when she's on the Delta Flyer and he's like pumping himself off, and her eye roll is, I think, probably the best eye roll in all of Star Trek. And yes. I need to find a GIF of that because that's S tier. But the ramrod in this is unforgivable because the bones of the story are great. And there are phenomenal ways to do this. Introduce the fact that that this thing's falling apart and it's a race against the clock, but there's going to be a moral conundrum. Either we get to go home or these people die. And there is and give me the 15 seconds of conversation of there's no way to have our cake and eat it too. And we're going to have to make a call.
Give me the spackle that this is an actual choice and it's desperate. And Janeway has to do what a good captain would do and say, we can't sacrifice these people to return us home. I would never be able to live with that decision.
This
and everyone's like, yeah, no, I get it,
So the Caretaker is an explorer, and they showed up, and their technology fucked up the surface of the Ocampan homeworld, which is pretty far away. And he, again, I'm going through the beats on this because it's ridiculous and it's plot holy as fuck, and there's no one there to tell Berman, Pillar, or Taylor, hey, this is fucking stupid. How did a shopping mall get built underground? Well, the caretaker, the caretaker built a shopping mall underground from a place that's so far away it has to shoot energy through space to it. Like, it's not like the caretaker array is directly in orbit like it was Deep Terek Nor over Bajor, where it's like using transporters to build this thing, right?
Right.
The stairs to get the people down off the surface into the waiting mega complex are like nice OSHA compliant industrial stairs that would have had nice railings and would have held up great if it wasn't being shot up with an orbital bombardment, right? There's a level of detail. It's just ridiculous here. Like, why is it this nice? Who built this? Well, the Ocampa built it. With what? Their fucking surface was pulled away. Did all the material just get beamed in? It's a ridiculous premise to start off with. And it's even crazier. It's like, all right, well, here's the caretaker, and he cares about these people he fucked, and he's dying, and he's in the process of right now of trying to create an offspring to continue his work. It's not going well. He's pulling people in from all over the galaxy. So he has ability to transport people vast differences, right?
Distances, yeah.
Distances, I'm sorry. Trying to bring people in. Okay, whatever. He knows he's going to die. He knows he's got about 2 days to live. And the best he's going to do is to supercharge their battery reserve so they have an extra 5 years. You've got the Kazon trying to raid this place. So you're going to seal them in and hope for the best. Also, you have the ability to bombard things from orbit with your crazy power structure. Like, let me just run through the options here. One, You kill all the fucking Kazon.
Pretty strong option. Seems like it would solve your problem for you.
These are bad guys. You know they're bad. They're
Tamar Klingons, disgusting. Just look at them.
Right. And the Kazon, I'm not willing to forgive the way that the script treats these guys because they're clearly fleshed out. They got action figures from Playmates, right?
Sure
These
did.
were made to be long-term bad guys, and they are long-term bad guys. They get us through season 2, I think.
Correct.
This isn't Monster of the Week. This isn't Bad Guy of the Week. There's a lot of work, and there's a fucking great story. That's the worst thing about the Kazon is by the time they go, okay, you know what? Well, hey, we're getting rid of these guys anyways. Here's this backstory. You're like, that's fucking cool as shit. Yeah, don't worry, we're not using them anymore. We got some new trash we're gonna bring out. Guess what? The Borg are coming back.
Siska's involved. Like, yeah.
These guys just got fucking sweet though, man. I changed my mind. You know,
Siska's kidnapping Chakotay and taking his baby juice. Come on.
There's neck juices. Nogs over there, man. Like, so he could have just zapped these guys. He could have got rid of it. Said, "Stay the fuck away. Come here and die, bitch." They don't do that. The big thing that's really sticking out to me by the end, you have this huge space station. You can't just beam the fucking... Give the Ocampa your fucking array. Why are they living underground? Why are they not living in your sweet-ass space station full of holodeck food and air and water?
Type turbo hyper technology to defend themselves against any kind of aggressor.
You're going to tell me the population's too big? You, as effectively their god, could be like, hey, guys, I need you to fuck a little bit less. The most I can hold here is like 20,000 people. Can you just skip
population control? You know, just like
I'm gonna orbital bombard you with condoms, or actually with latex gloves, because that's how they have sex, right? Their hands get gluey and they stick to each other.
Yes. So we unfortunately find out. Yeah.
I'm gonna give you Ocampa promiscuity mittens. And we're just going to curb your population growth just enough to get you on the station. And then you guys don't have to live in the shopping mall under the ground anymore.
So let's go back a touch. There is the actual reason why we justified reviewing this again, and that is that Voyager's last stop before it goes to hunt the Maquis is in fact Deep Space Nine. I mean, we get a lovely scene with Quark, who is the best part of any Star Trek episode he is in.
Well, that's not hard to do here, man.
Yeah, as we called out at the time, best actor on this episode, runs rings around everybody, and like tries to commit some space larceny against poor hapless Harry Kim before another space criminal steps in to step on his dick. You know, just
I looked at my my old Notebook Prime, and it's like, where's Cisco? Like, where's the rest of the crew? And it's wouldn't you know, they're actually stuck back in time.
Yeah, they're still at Earth dealing with the consequences of their little adventure due to chronotons from the cloak on the Defiant. So it makes sense that they're not there.
They are lost in time. That's a great reason why these guys are not around. Quick shout out to the space criminal thing. I really liked when they introduced Neelix for the hot minute that it's
with his coat.
It's Tom Paris like making faces, like very clearly seeing the fucking con this guy is running.
Yep.
And the huge payoff later on where, like, really, it's one of the fondest memories I think I have of all the Voyager episodes where Neelix and what's it? Live Fast and Trek Hard.
Yeah, Live Fast and Prosper is the name of the episode. Where it's the plot is secretly that Tom and Neelix realize they've become soft and they need to regain their criminal credibility by out con artisting to a bunch of con artists and succeed.
That's an episode I'd like to go back and rewatch. That's a great utilization, and that's a rare case of Voyager being willing to look at its own continuity. But yeah,
the fact that he looks over at Tuvok and is like, I know I'd have just met you, dude, but you know this guy is full of shit, right? Just like the look he gives him, like, come on, man, right? You're not buying this.
Also, the early pairing of Neelix and Tuvok, like, that is one of the
first person he meets on the ship. First person.
I think that's one of the things that this show really does right, that they set in stone early, was that this was going to be the funny man, straight man combo.
Yeah, this is the odd couple of the ship, and we're actually going to make this work pretty well.
I would say it becomes a highlight
Yeah.
for me towards the end, and that's because I love Neil. But yeah, the pairing of Quark, Kim, and Paris, like I wish there could have been more with Deep Space Nine. But I think maybe, would you think there was a resentment there? Do you think they only used Deep Space Nine long enough to, hey, here's the tie-in, great. Now we're getting away from this scummy
Oh
Irish
yeah,
Stephen
this is when they set
Bear.
the show in the Delta Quadrant. They can do whatever they want. They don't have to worry about anything going on anywhere else except to the extent that they want to. It can be the ship can be the show is a ship in the bottle, right? Like the entire show is cordoned off from everything else, so you don't have to worry about continuity, and you can make decisions as you see fit because you're in an unexplored place in your fictional galaxy. It is the same rationale as to why, for Discovery, after 2 seasons of being challenged by that, they did the same fucking thing, except with time. They put them so far into the far, 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 far future that now you can do whatever you want. Now the Federation can be whatever you want. The galaxy can be whatever you want. Technology can be whatever you want. And you are not
Continuity does
bound
not
by canon.
exist. And
Yeah.
again, the disrespect to the audience and the lack of homework and due diligence and compliance with the world that you've allowed your Star Trek title to create. The fuck, what's Chakotay's space hoopty called?
It is not named, obviously, in the show, famously, but is the Valjean.
The Valjean. When we watched this thing 7 years ago, again, I'm
Space El
coming in
Camino.
cold, I'm coming in cold, and I don't have the nerd details as accessible to me that I have now. We see what the Maquis is in Deep Space Nine, and we saw what the Maquis was in Next Generation. And I think this representation of the Maquis and the Valjean specifically is ridiculous. You've got a ship that's effectively going toe to toe with Gullivec's Galore class warship.
Yes.
This is bullshit. It should have fucking bingoed that thing. You're talking about the Maquis have ships that are on par where 3 runabouts got in a fight with effectively mail trucks with torpedo launchers on them. And that was roughly the same power level, right? Like this wasn't a Galaxy Class D coming in and having it just your Winnebagos went out and curbed what the Maquis were able to summon. So the Valjean being out there, where your entire bridge, it feels to me like it's roughly the size of a runabout, almost, right? Like I know it's a little bit bigger. It's
definitely much bigger. It's got like 3 dozen crew members.
Yeah,
it is.
But your bridge is your captain sitting at the helm. This isn't. Yes. I'm sitting in the captain's chair.
It's a 30 to 40 person ship. It's not.
What else is 30
anything.
to 40 people? The Defiant.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger. Yeah.
So again, just the configuration of this thing. He's sitting at the front piloting himself. It doesn't feel like it's a real starship. It feels like it's an overgrown shuttlecraft going toe to toe with the Cardassians. So either the Cardassians are magically awful and suck, or this ship's pretty powerful, and it's powerful to a point that maybe it could have given Voyager a run for the money. And then when
they
you take
don't really say like it's a threat to the Galar class cruiser. Like B'Elanna even notes, like we're not even getting through their shields, right? Like they are not dying, but they're not actually going to succeed in
but listen, you jump forward to when the fucking Kazon show up, these space hillbillies, and all of a sudden they're this existential threat to everything around them. You could say, well, the ship's kind of damaged and this and that, but like, what the Kazon aren't monsters of the week. They're well established, and for them to be this powerhouse threat that is a impossible obstacle to navigate to the point where blowing up the Caretaker array has to be forced consideration because you don't think you can shut down the Kazon long enough to deal and get yourself some time. You can't,
especially when you like clown them immediately after this, right? Like from this point forward, I don't think Kazon are ever really a threat until Seska like cheats.
No, you get. I forget what episode it is, but it opens with like 4 Kazon ships taking turns shooting at Voyager, and Voyager's just flying away, ignoring them. Like, so what? The Kazon this whole time had one credible threat, and that's what Chakotay Jem'Hadar's the Valjean.
I want to talk about the Maquis for a little bit here, and not Cisco, in Chakotay's presence.
Hold on, wait a minute. We gotta Do we gotta get some police crime scene tape and make sure that nobody falls into the biggest plot hole that exists, spanning Deep Space Nine and Voyager? The Maquis.
Plot hole, bad villain. We went on for quite a bit when the Maquis got introduced in Deep
The
Space Nine.
weakest shit.
Yeah, they're incredibly weak, and Chakotay is a much better Maquis character in theory. He is a veteran officer that has chosen to switch sides. Um, there's so many potential interesting storytelling beats that you could explore with this idea. And the one I kept hitting on when I was watching it last night with folks in Discord was, why the fuck are the Maquis not embittered veteran Starfleet officers of the Cardassian War? Like, why isn't Chakotay's backstory was exactly like O'Brien's, that he was at Setlik 3 or some other comparable, disastrous circumstance where you had a minority of Starfleet officers from that era that had to actually deal with what Cardassian savagery looked like, because that was the Cardassians' entire modus operandi as it relates to how they fought the war, is that they couldn't beat the Federation, really, but they could demonstrate enough aggression and savagery that they take that soft desire of the Federation to be peaceful and shock it into a hard border and peace agreement. And that worked on a strategic level, but it made it so that you had the Benjamin Maxwells and the Miles O'Briens, and in this telling, the Jacotes of the world, who were there, who saw what happened to their friend Bob, who saw what these monsters could do, and they were changed in a very dark, very real way as a consequence. And they do not like that the Federation didn't choose to go in and take care of this problem, and instead sold out Federation citizens who are living in those border planets. And rather than accept that, because they know how bad these people are, and they know the measures that are necessary, that they turn traitor, and they use their decades of experience as Starfleet officers to acquire material from the shadier parts of the galaxy to be able to fight a low-level guerrilla war. And at some level, the Federation, knowing and accepting that some of this is necessary as a buffer, a strategic buffer against a force that they now have a great deal much more strategic suspicion about, permits it. But Chakotay, for whatever reason, has gone farther than they're willing to permit, and they have to go and they have to arrest him because he's being too bold, too known as a Maquis terrorist for him to be able to operate with this kind of strategic ambiguity.
How
Like,
long
that's
how long you think you just talked there? 2 minutes?
No, yeah, maybe.
Let me tell you, 2 minutes of conversation that never once touched the ears of anybody involved.
Yeah.
The amount of effort that you just put into thinking about that right there, I don't think the 5 of them could have summoned the fuck.
Which is fucking shocking. Shocking.
You could tell 60 different stories about what the Maquis are conceptually and in practice. Maybe you could tell 100. And at the end of the day, the worst version of that story to tell is the one that we got. There is no way to portray or explain or rationalize a Maquis that is worse than the flimsy ass shit that we got. And that is why it is the weakest shit that spans effectively 2 major Star Trek properties. And it's a shame. And talking, I don't know, we're about to push an hour here. Are we going to go 2 episodes on this thing?
We'll go a little longer and see how it feels. If it looks like we'll wrap up in 20, 30 minutes, no. If it looks like we got another hour, then yes.
Oh, Chakotay's introduction in this, I think, was not terrible.
Yep.
I take that back. Him as a character was not terrible. His dialogue, especially with fucking Paris on the collapsing staircase, was so fucking hard to watch at 2025, like turning into a bird.
Tom Paris is being just being very racist.
Indian tricks this, Indian tricks that. Like, you're a fucking Wookiee. You're like, I'm gonna be Han Solo, and you're gonna be Chewbacca.
But there's a certain kind of male bonding that happens with racism, though. People shit test each other. This is a part of male bonding when you've got friends.
I'm just saying the fucking Indian stuff is perpetually flimsy, but him as a dirty terrorist, especially him slamming his 9/11 his ship into the Maquis or the Kazon super cruiser. He just killed a lot of fucking people, man. Like,
Yeah. Well, who's
damn.
this guy? This Chakotay so badly needed to be a deeply hard-edged man. He needed to be a person who war changed in a way that discomforted and disquieted him. And it is why he has indulged it in a fashion. And part of his journey needed to be not that he was the mature, spiritually like coherent from the jump, cuddly terrorist dad. He needed to be a man who learned to like back away from his darkness that led him
He
to be
needed to
that
be
man.
Lon Suitor.
Yeah,
He needed to
he did.
be a guy, and remember, like, as they would later go on to flesh out, which I don't know if he had already been fleshed out to this point, but Chakotay is a special operations commando who trained Rolaren
Yes.
before he left Starfleet to go back into the Maquis War. Like, he needed to be Rambo. There needs to be something real Rambo about this guy, and the Lon Suitorness I'm talking about, which is, and maybe it's too close to O'Brien, and they wanted to let O'Brien have this thing, but like, I've become very good at killing people, and I've taken this understanding of nature and survivalism and whatever, and I can really go ape shit, and I can thrive in it, and I need to keep both hands on chaining this fucking beast down, and I have embraced this spiritualism that I was quick to reject in my youth because it's the only thing keeping me from being a fucking psychotic war criminal for the rest of my life. I'm going to
Because
lose
he had
myself to my
PTSD. Because like you don't go lean too hard into this in O'Brien. He's pretty locked up as it relates to his emotional integrity. He's had bad experiences, but they don't bother him. Let this man be bothered. Let this man be dealing with darkness that he has not resolved. And like you said, that his adherence to his spiritual beliefs is part of how he's done it. But part of that coping mechanism is that he's decided to go back and indulge in that darkness. He's a man who's good at killing people in a society that abhors that skill. And that
Yeah.
has to it creates a tension that you could have used and exploit to create incredible storytelling opportunities for him, especially now that he's thrust in this position as the first officer for a much different kind of captain than he would otherwise be comfortable serving under.
Squandered potential is the byline of Star Trek Voyager, and it is there in the beginning. Someone sat down and put pen to paper and imagined an excellent TV show, I think, that had really great potential, where you got stepmommy porn between bad boy Tom Paris and the captain, where you had this traumatized first officer terrorist leader who has to figure out how to wear the uniform again and keep that shit under wraps, where you've got B'Elanna Torres and Harry Kim bringing each other to the middle of the bitch spectrum.
Yes.
Doctor, 10 out of 10, no notes. He is excellent the entire runway through. Neelix, like there's really great stuff there. And then someone just came in and whitewashed it and fucked it up and ramrodded it. And then you got the Voyager that we watched 7 years of, or at least 3 years of.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that sums it up perfectly, man. And I don't think we necessarily have to go any deeper, right? Like there's a lot about this from a production level that was interesting to revisit. The money is there. They do location shoots. Camera work is excellent. Cinematography is above average.
They
There's some.
afford John Rhys Davies.
Eventually, they afford John Rhys Davies.
At the
Just
cost
like
of us.
in this episode alone, just like some of the ways they play with lighting and all that stuff is like it's very competently executed production where the money is
I want to
visible
say
and
real
on
quick
screen.
too, Chakotay's terrorist outfit looks pretty good.
Yeah,
Like civilian
the
clothes are hard.
Rainforest Cafe terrorist outfits have grown on me. Smoldering Catcher Guy is right there. He's one of the first things we notice and talk about in our episode. He's there from the jump. It was good to see him.
Seeing Ayala really did feel good.
It
And
did.
and knowing that this guy is just going to be this background smoldering dude, like the looks he's throwing, he's coming in with this energy of like, I want to keep doing this job, and I'm going to make sure the camera sees me and that I look good. And I'm going to give as much as I can to this role where I'm not allowed to open my mouth. So they'll call me back and I'm going to pay this fucking mortgage, man.
And, all of that is present. Oh,
The matte
Tuvok,
paintings.
is a solved character that we talk a lot about of like, it is interesting to have somebody who really doesn't have a ton of personal growth, but he serves as a vector by which others grow, and he accepts some growth in the aftermath,
And Tim
especially
Russ
with
as
Neelix.
somebody who loves Star Trek and is, I think, just right off the jump, someone's like, who knows better than the fucking production team? I know what
Yes.
this character's supposed to be better than you do. I'm sure he's got some real hot takes on some of these fucking garbage scripts.
It's just like his little scene with Janeway, like you talk about, is one of the better scenes in the episode where, they're talking about his family. It's like they miss, they miss you. It's like, I think you misinterpreted their emotions, but then he kind of admits to it. And there's like that hint of Vulcan emotion that's always there. Like Vulcans they say they don't have
Well,
emotions, but they do. They're
they
just
have
dialed
to
all the
for
way
good
down.
TV.
Yeah.
His, a lot of these people are here for the paycheck. A lot of these people didn't want to be lifelong Star Trek people. Um, uh, Chakotay
Robert Beltran.
Beltran, right? Like he's been very like, you went in kind of half-assed. Like you got the job, great, but like you're not looking for that lifestyle. The way he comes in with Tuvok, he already understands this character. It's a complete character. The script understands the character. He understands Vulcan. And, I think Tim Russ is probably right up there with the portrayal of Spock in terms of like, this is the Bible. And Jolene Blaylock comes in. Like, there's never been, I think, a bad main character Vulcan. Has there been?
No,
Like
no,
these
they're all
guys,
good.
I think the people who come and play in Vulcans know what they're getting into, and they're bringing a confidence into those portrayals and a dedication to the script that I think the human actors don't have to really contend with. So yeah, like all his scenes feel very bought in and great and good. And Neelix, I want to talk about him for a minute, like, and Cass.
Yeah. I mean, it is a shame that Kess is moved off the show just because the balance that she provides by being the sort of pure heart of the crew really was kind of noticeable, and that she is the naive,
Yeah, but she also
young
has this.
lady whose heart is open, and others grow as a consequence of being
The,
exposed to it, because she's not without wits. She's just untainted from everyone's personal experiences, because she's literally newborn, relatively speaking.
I was happy in my notes, like I shouted her out as like being a strong point because she really was like, she is a female heroine, like,
She's
uh,
feminine in a way that your other female characters aren't.
but she's also bold. She's breaking the
Yes.
bonds of their restrictive society. I forgot about this Ocampan supremacy thread that they lay the seeds for here. And like by the end, and it was a Cold Fire,
Yes.
right, where we see like what happens when the Ocampan don't hold back and they explore this psychic power they have. So like she's got some concerning scenes, I think, where she's like, what if we ignore the safeguards? What if we don't, stay to living in the ground? Like, that could have been, again, this fucking caretaker thing's ridiculous. Why is he keeping him underground? Oh, he's keeping them underground because the caretaker knows that these guys unchecked are alpha level threats to everybody
Yeah.
around them. And what his real mission is keeping these guys. He's a jailer. He's not a caretaker.
You remember Fury, the episode when they brought Cass back to resolve her story?
Unfortunately, I do, yes.
Again, wasted potential is the byword of Voyager.
Huge.
The idea of an angry Cass, aged, hyper powerful, coming back and being resentful of the fact that she was pushed by Janeway into embracing something that she finds that she was not prepared for, and she has spent the last several years miserably alone, roiling in her own power to a level that she has decided to utilize it to buy back what happened by force, is again like, wow, cool idea. We have seen Cass be dark.
Not
You know,
just cool idea, really fucking cool. That should have been the times, not time zero, the best.
Year of Hell.
No, well, that was also, it could have been up there with Year of Hell. It could have been up
Yeah.
there with the one where Kim's got to go back in time to save Voyager. Timeless. Like all the pieces were there, and Kess was certainly a powerful character, potential wise. But yeah, they fucked that one. But, she's a great character. I think she's a good character off the jump. Neelix was the interesting one for me to go back and watch because I was so resentful of him early on
And then he grew on us so much.
to be my
Like
favorite.
Fair Trade was such the heel face turn as far as him being a great character on the show and like having depth on all of that. And this early version of him is just sort of a con artist. He's the local goblin con artist. Is a bit jarring considering like what he matures into and how textured his character becomes
But
later on.
contrasting him and Tim Russ, like Tuvok and Neelix, Tim Russ and Ethan Phillips. Tim Russ came in with full buy-in into the Star Trek product and the script and like ready to live the Star Trek actor lifestyle and give all the stuff like the respect and reverence. And like watching the portrayal of Neelix and knowing about Ethan Phillips the way that I do now, and just seeing that this is a guy done up to look like an absolute fucking clown and just trying to make the best out of it and have a good time and fuck around on the set. And I really feel like his goal in these scenes is like, how goofy can I be before the fucking director tells me to knock it off? Like,
How can I make it so that Tim Russ looks like he's going to kill me without him actually looking like he's going to kill me? How far can I go on the choke me daddy level before it happens? And we know that level exists.
How much it's been immortalized. You have beat art for it.
Yes.
How much fun can I have at work today in this miserable costume with these awful scripts? And watching him perform Neelix like really did bring joy to me, where it's like, I'm not watching this critically. Like, I know this character is going to get good and I can just sit here and watch this and laugh.
Yeah.
And like the rest of this episode, that's just fucking, this is a garbage story. I hated this story. I hate what it represents. I just went from really great scripts in Deep Space Nine to this thing that's just bland paint by numbers trash until you get to the end and the entire thing just falls apart.
And to think that the last episode that Neelix is on like actually made us emotional.
Yeah. I will say, I remembered him blowing the water up because like when I was like, oh fuck, they're going down to the surface.
The Type 1, no less.
Was it a Type 1 or was it I think it's a
garage. It was a garage door clicker.
I thought it was a Talaxian pistol he's got. Anyways, I remembered him blowing the water up and just vaporizing. I guess he just shoots a hole and it starts draining and they have to get buckets or whatever. So it's not quite as evil, because for a hot minute I was like, man, there's cold-blooded and then there's like sadistic, and Neelix was really riding the line there. So I was happy to see he didn't completely vaporize the water, but
that's it though. I think this was a fun thing for me to revisit, especially listening to our takes and how much of it I'm like, yeah, that's the very first things we ever noticed were definitely still the things I noticed again. And then just the way that they set up relationships that they don't pursue, like that this episode was created in a bit in isolation. They reshot a lot of it famously. You know, they recast Janeway as a character after they had already started production. So Kate Mulgrew was a late addition. And you get the impression that maybe like some decisions were being made on the fly that, like you said, they just decide not to go with later on because they don't have the guts to pursue it, I guess.
I want to talk about
the actors have chemistry with each other. The writers seem to understand what they're doing. And instead of Chakotay being, you know, a savage terrorist that needs to tame himself and others, instead of having, you know, B'Elanna make a man out of Harry and Harry, you know, calming B'Elanna down, and instead of playing with the dynamic between bad boy criminal, son of your old boss Tom, and, you know, slightly more mature but not so distant that it gets weird, you know,
until
Janeway.
It does get weird in their lizards.
And you don't like that. Just to go a little bit deeper on that, because this may be our last time to explore this topic in depth on our show. I don't suggest that the show should have pursued a long-term, permanent romantic interest between Janeway and Paris. What I am suggesting is that they should have been interested in each other. They should have had some amount of culmination of the relationship that wasn't them fucking as lizards in Threshold, and but at a point where like they kiss, maybe they fuck, I don't know, take it to a level that goes beyond mere flirtation, and then Janeway has to make a decision that I can't do this for any number of reasons, and Tom, because he's the only other person that's on her emotional wavelength because of his position as a criminal and is relative, like having his kind of like command of himself, is like, yeah, you're probably right, we really shouldn't. And it's
Give me them
solidifies the
Delaney's.
relationship. it still solidifies the relationship in a different way, where they definitely understand their mutual attraction to each other and they're very close as a consequence. But all right, like now Tom has to like find some other way to grow, and Janeway is now resolved, like, I am kind of stuck in a position where even this like criminal bad boy I brought along with me, I can't do that. Like, I have to be mother and captain to this entire crew.
Yeah, but here I want an episode where she falters on her resolve to stay off him, and I want them to bang in the Bride of Chaotica episode on
Yeah,
set.
something like that, where you play with it a little bit here and there, and they keep you prevent either of them from having a romantic relationship with anybody else because they're still interested in each other. And the tension isn't just implied, it's real. You know they want each other. They've in fact indulged in it, but they just have to stay. They have to keep themselves apart from each other despite knowing this because of the circumstances that they're in. And that makes it so you don't have to come up with romantic long-term partners for them. It makes the whole Fairhaven thing make sense more because now, like, Janeway, instead of theoretically being isolated, is like, no, really, like, I need something else because it's just like
It makes the episode where she puts him in jail for 30 days hit a little harder. Yeah.
Hit harder, and it makes it so that Tom's growth doesn't have to be connected. His growth being like, I'm going to be a family man was good. It was just a problem that he didn't have any chemistry at all with Roxanne Dawson. So like the relationship sucked. Instead, like the maturity he could have shown was becoming like a Starfleet leader, like embracing what his father's, really wanted for him to realize like, this is what I should do. I have an opportunity here to not just be the local bad boy. I'm here to be a real leader. And
I do want to say that I thought Robert Duncan McNeil did a great job in this. And it's easy to forget that he was a movie star. I mean, he was in Masters of the Universe as a big character. He brings a really great portrayal. I don't think we ever really had a complaint about the way that Paris was portrayed.
No, aside from like Alice, when all of his friends suck and don't notice that a trash bag is sucking his soul. But
that's a fun one. But that's, he does a great job the whole way through. And I think that's also out there right from the jump. It's hard to go back because like I did really like Voyager, but just this is a bad episode. And it's a fucking terrible episode in comparison to everything that we're getting out of Deep Space Nine. Seeing the names attached, understanding these are names that left Deep Space Nine, the presence of Voyager allowing Deep Space Nine to hit the heights it does, the hardship and lack of quality control, the disrespect to the audience, the indulgence of ramrodding, and the pervasive stench of squandered potential. It's all here. And
it's all here.
7 years of it.
It's even more vibrant than it was, I think, when we watched it 7.5 years ago, because we know how good Trek was at the same time. And it's like startling. It's not like it was hard for you to see the better way of doing things. It was right there all along.
It wasn't. Because again, I don't think there was anybody there that was willing to go to these executive producers and say, this sucks. Look, these other guys are doing it better, and what we're doing here is bad, and you do not know best. That's the important part in this too. This is their first L. I get that nobody's willing to go to them and say, hey, this fucking sucks. But by the time it starts happening in Enterprise, that nobody's going to go, Voyager is happening again. We need to stop huffing our own farts. We need to change things. We've been exposed to the fact that we can fuck things up. It's happening. We need to right the ship.
Well, speaking of writing our ship, Peter, I'm glad to say that our little divergence into the Delta Quadrant has come and gone, and we're returning back to the shores of the Alpha Quadrant and the ongoing tensions and Deep Sheets 9. So, if you could, sir, tell us about the next episode we'll be reviewing.
We finished with past tense. We're going to be moving into thankfully, moving into season 3, episode 3, life support.
Episode 13.
I was lucky 13. Fennec Bareil, he's got some chest wounds. Someone threw some jello on him. After a serious accident, Bashir struggles to save the life of Fennec Bareil, while Kai Wynn, this rascal, while Kai Wynn concludes a peace treaty with Cardassia. Jake and Okay, so We're back to the A plot, B plot, right?
Yeah.
Kira's boyfriend might die, and Space Karen's being a real Space Karen. Jake and Nog reluctantly explore the difference between Federation. Jake and Nog are on a friendship mission. Stem bolts, self-stealing stem bolts, or get the fuck out.
Listen, their adventures together are a delight. So I will grant the grace of the A plot, B
After
plot.
Caretaker Part 1, anything Deep Space Nine related is a delight.
Agreed, sir. We will savor every moment as we continue down this journey. And thank you to all of you out in Voyager Please Land who, seriously, over the last 7.5 years have added to our lives in a way that is tangible and real. Like, Peter and I really enjoy doing this, and we having an audience that is so receptive and interested in what we have to say and engage with what we have to say and engage with us and come back week after week with no expectations other than we're just having this big running conversation about a thing we love. Like that's what anyone like us wants, and we get to have that. And neither of us will ever make a dime off of it or have any genuine like personal benefit aside from the gratification of talking with nerds about Star Trek. But who wants anything? Like, the rest of my life can give me everything else. This is great.
That said, if anybody's selling nutritional supplements and they're looking for,
I guess like if we can grift, I suppose. Like, I'm not opposed. I'm pretty morally flexible, but it's
a flexible back needs a good mattress.
So Helix Sleep. Are we going to do some Helix Sleep spots?
I'm looking at purple, but
and all of you out there some of you have been here from the beginning. Some of you have joined recently, and we value every single one of you. So thanks.
I value enough to say, if you like to talk about Voyager, there's a lot of it. Just, again, be ready for that bad old Logitech mic. It was a rough one.
So was your daughter shitting all over your shoes, but you know what?
It was a warning sign, and it was well heated.